Hi guys, welcome. Tomorrow I'm going to be going out and testing a couple pellets at a farm here nearby me. I've got a pretty good idea of what's going to work and what's not going to work. These JSB Exact Monster Diablos worked very well, but in the 16.2 grain, which unfortunately they don't make anymore. So I can't shoot that, but I'm going to try the 13 grainers out in the same shape. Then I've got the Exact Monster Diablo, the redesign, same weight, same BC apparently. Actually, sorry, this is a better BC. That is a BC of 0.28, I believe, don't quote me. And then this is a BC of 0.3. So should also shoot quite well. Then these I've shot with a lot in the past. They're the H&N Barracuda FTs. They're actually what I started shooting through my gun. They are 9.57 grains. They shoot very well. And then what I found is a much cheaper option than the JSB 16 grainers is these Velocity 16.2 grains, also a heavy pellet. You get them in a packet of 600, which is nice compared to the normal JSBs. And I found they also shoot very well, except the only big difference, and it's really what you're paying for, is the quality control that JSB has is phenomenal. If you were to look at this 16 grain pellet there and the JSB, oh sorry, picture's probably very bad, I'll do a close-up somewhere else, but if you look at these two, you can blatantly see which one's the JSB and which one's the Velocity. It makes a huge quality difference. And also often the skirting here at the end on the Velocity ones is a little bit damaged or bent, and I don't really shoot those. I throw them out rather than take a bad shot. So yeah, I'm going to test all of these out on paper tomorrow. I'm going to be shooting at about 25 meters, and then afterwards I'll move my target out to 50 meters and do, what's the correct word now? A speed validation to see how many feet per second I'm moving at and what each one is moving at differently, and I'll choose one of these to be my regular shooter out of my gun. I do like the original JSB 16 grainers because they're a bit more forgiving. Also with shooting pigeons and doves, sometimes they don't always position themselves to you nicely, and you're able to take a nice shoulder wing shot, and it will normally just bounce off the bone and still penetrate quite deeply inside the dove or pigeon. The lighter ones, not so much. I have already gone out and hunted with these, but the performance was not as good as the 16 grainers. The other thing that surprisingly shoots great through my gun, I've been testing a lot of slugs, and I'm currently shooting, a hatsan AT44-10 in 4.5 cal, or 4.5 millimeters, sorry. And the Nielsen 18 grain slugs for some reason shoot fantastically. The JSB knockouts, horrible. The Thor 15, 13 and 16 grain don't shoot through my gun well at all. But Nielsen seems to make great all-round slugs for your average PCP, because they feed the 13 grainers, the 15, I think it's a 13 or 15, and the 18 grainer the Nielsens do. Those shoot amazingly. And I'll try and show a video on my channel now about the difference in drop, shooting pigeons in the exact same tree from the exact same place, and you'll see in the one video I'm aiming hold over 4 hash marks. With the FT Barracudas I aim dead on at the same distance. So the heavier pellets do have much more drop, but once you get used to shooting them, it really makes no difference. So yeah, I do like this Velocities because they're literally half the price for 3 times the amount of pellets, and even though some of them aren't great quality, I just pick them out and don't use them. They work really, really well. So tomorrow we're going to really try, first focus on just collecting group sizes and some information about what's shooting great out of the gun and what's not shooting so great. And then once I've done all that, I would like to see if maybe I can get a pheasant hunt on recording with my scope cam. It's a rather difficult thing to do. I have the Discovery phone mount, so it mounts there onto the back of my scope, and then I position my phone and I look through my phone and shoot. So it doesn't make for great walk and stalk hunting, walking through the bush, spotting them, finding them, and they're not really around the home of the farm where I'm going to be shooting most of the day. But we'll try and do a walk and see if we can get one. If we do, I'd be very happy to have a bit of pheasant poikie. But they're a flippin' tough animal, so you really have to use, especially when you're shooting 4.5mm pellet guns, a heavier bullet, I feel, or if not, a .22 caliber air rifle is much more humane. And headshots are pretty much a have to. Their feathers are so dense, they really just don't penetrate. So have to go for headshots. Hopefully that will be nice if we can get one on video tomorrow. Probably about 100 meters away, with the wind blowing left to right. I thought the wind was already bad when I lined up on those starlings, but it just got worse throughout the rest of the day. Go. I'm lined up here, too far away. They're probably only about 40 meters. But the wind is blowing so hectically, I just can't take this shot. It's quite sheltered where I am, but out there in the field, I'm gonna get up, follow them again. Where did he go? So there you go, guys. First thing I did in the morning before the wind got so hectic is I went and shot my groups on paper first, just to make sure that the results weren't swayed by wind that much. I'm going to put the results right here somewhere, and then I'll chat more about it now. But, you know, I really wanted to get that pheasant hunt on camera. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I tried. I really did. Not for lack of trying. There were a lot more takes that I just missed bumbling around with that scope cam. It's the worst. It's like hip fire hunting. It's absolutely appalling. You sit here, but the phone is also not at like a 45 degree. That would be tolerable because you can see it. But it sits at 90 degrees. So you've got to try shoulder the gun while looking at your whole phone this far from your face, if you're shouldering it, or you're doing this like I do, or lying down prone with my gun further in front of me like that. And it's just not fun. But anyway, I really put in my best effort today to try and get you guys those pheasants, but didn't happen. I think I shot 3 pigeons today. I don't know if I got all 3 on camera, but I'll put those videos up as well. And yeah, let's talk about groups. So the first pellets I ended up testing was the JSB 13 grain redesigned. I didn't circle that far right shot in because it was the first shot I took, cold bore shot, and yeah, so I just circled in the first 3 because it normally does much better than that. There's normally never flyers with them. Please excuse my really gross pinky fingers in all of these videos. I just had to use something as a reference. Those were the JSB Exact Monster Diablos in 13 grain as well. Then it was time for the Velocity 16 grainers. I deliberately loaded some good pellets and some bad pellets. I only saw one that looked really deformed, which to be honest with you, can't remember if that was my flyer or not. But yeah, I just tried to give you as honest of a group as possible by just picking out random pellets and not picking out bad looking ones. I also tested out the JSB Ultra Shock. They're the hollow point JSBs in 10 grain. They shot really well on a practice group. Afterwards I shot them a little bit more. I'll show photos, and the group widened up. Next up were the H&N 9.5 grain Barracuda FTs. They performed well, but you can't compare them to the JSB Exact redesign. They shot the best by far. As you can see, there's a 10-shot group to my left that's exactly the same size as my pinky nail, so that's pretty much after those first 4 shots. I think they all went through that same hole. And then that shot off to the right was me just shifting my point of impact and dialing my scope correctly to make sure everything was working properly, and that was a 5-shot group on the right. There you have it, a clear winner, the JSB Exact redesigned. Shoot the best by far. Thank you guys for watching.